With how often Pokemon games make you fight region champions, you'd expect them to have a major role in the plot of their games. But out of all of them, Diantha wins the award for being the least relevant champion in the games that introduce her. So much so that there isn't even enough in-game footage of her to use for this intro. With ridiculously small screen time and no influence over anything that happens in the plot, the only thing Diantha is remembered for is being the easiest champion to defeat in X and Y. At that point, you'd think we'd at least see Diantha herself reappear in Pokemon Legends EA to make up for this. However, the game's DLC, Mega Dimension, does something better, to instead give her daughter, Ansha, a major role in the story. But how does focusing on Diantha's daughter instead of Diantha herself fix Diantha's lack of relevance problem in Pokemon X and Y? How does Diantha's status as a champion and celebrity impact Ansha's character and goal? Well, sit back and take a breather, as we first have to go into what makes Diantha's lack of relevance a problem when comparing her to other champions. Diantha's screen time in Pokemon X and Y is severely lacking. Even though Diantha's role is to be the Kalos region's champion, you only see her a grand total of 3 times in the main story. You first meet Diantha in one of Lumios's cafes, where she's talking to Lysander, introduces herself, hopes to battle you and your rival someday, and that's it. The second time is when you bump into Diantha again on the way to Comarine City. Here she reveals that she doesn't try to focus on how she's nothing like the character she's acting, because it'll only make playing through that role unenjoyable for her. Instead, she tries to form a bond with the characters she plays by focusing on what she has in common with them. This is also the last time Diantha gets any form of character development, because the third time you meet Diantha, it's her easy champion battle. That's it. This is a pathetically low amount of screen time compared to the champions before and even after Diantha. Lance helps you in raiding one of Team Rocket's bases, battling one of the Rocket executives, and even battles your rival Silver, which kickstarts his character development. You also have Steven, who helps you with Team Magma in Pokemon Emerald. Even in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Steven helps you protect Latias or Latios against Team Magma or Team Aqua, depending on which version of the game you're playing. Cynthia is an archaeologist who sometimes assists you in your own journey. She gives you the HM for Cud, Pokebee Egg to help you complete your Pokedex, and a Secret Potion to help move the group of Psyduck, blocking Route 210. Even Geeta, who's also got her own share of problems and criticisms, at the very least gives you the Indigo Disc needed to find Terabagos in the Hidden Treasures of Area Zero. That scene I mentioned where Diantha talks to Lysander, that is the only time Diantha has any involvement in Team Flare. You know, the villains that tried to commit genocide. And besides the lack of screen time, to add insult to injury, they don't even bother to give Diantha a 3D model for her battle intro. The useless Kalos friends get one, forgettable Team Flare scientists, except for Xerosic, get one, Lysander gets one, AZ gets one, they even decided that Professor Sycamore should get a 3D battle intro, but the literal final boss of the main story doesn't? It really does feel like Diantha's only purpose was to just exist as the champion you need to fight to beat the game just because that's how the mainline Pokemon games are traditionally. It's such a massive shame because when looking past the poor diversity of Diantha's team, their symbolism could have been a way to make her a foil to Lysander. Unlike Lysander, Diantha's very accepting of aging because there's a beauty to it in her acting career, like being able to play different roles. Diantha's entire team reflects this because they're all different in terms of how they progress. Hawlucha, prior to Legends EA, didn't have any form of evolution, but still capable of progressing through its levels and becoming stronger. Aurora's and Tyrantrum evolve when their pre-evolutions reach level 39 at the correct time of day. Pumpkaboo evolves into Gourgeist through trading. Sliggoo becomes Goodra when leveled up to 50 during rainy weather. And Gardevoir, her ace, is her only Pokemon that can evolve further through Mega Evolution. Lysander is about reduction, while Diantha is about progression, and this is reflected through her team. She could have been the perfect candidate for actually challenging Lysander's beliefs throughout the game, instead of giving that job at the last minute to the most useless Kalos friend. And while the anime does sort of fix this by giving Diantha more screen time and actually involving her with the Team Flare conflict, the problem still exists in the canon of the mainline games. You combine this with Diantha being one of the weakest champions of battle and lacking story involvement, do you think any development she'd get for the mainline games would begin and end then and there? But unexpectedly, Pokemon Legends ZA had other plans. Instead of having Diantha reappear, Legends ZA's Mega Dimension DLC gives us Diantha's daughter, Ansha. But just being blood related isn't how Ansha fixes Diantha's lack of relevance problem. It's how Diantha's status impacts Ansha's character. With how strong Diantha is, Ansha looks up to Diantha and dreams of catching Rayquaza so she can gift it to her. It's one of the main driving forces of the story. But throughout parts of the story, you learn more about the relationship between Ansha and Diantha. After Diantha steps down as champion, when she's dethroned in Pokemon X and Y, she dedicates her time with her movie actress career, though this usually means that Ansha is often by herself because of how busy Diantha's job is. Diantha's status also makes Ansha wonder what future path she wants to take. During a tour of the Lumiose Museum with Ansha and Karina, Karina asks if Ansha is interested in becoming a trainer like Diantha and catching her own Pokemon. Ansha tells her that gifting Rayquaza to Diantha would require becoming a trainer and catching Rayquaza herself. But Ansha worries that if she chooses to become a Pokemon trainer, she'd struggle to live up to her mother's example, given that she used to be Kalos champion. But Karina reassures Ansha, telling her that being a trainer isn't just about becoming the strongest and even offers to help Ansha train, to which Ansha responds that she'll consider it. Now, champions in Pokemon having other family members isn't a new thing. In fact, we had this as early as Gen 3 with Steven Stone's father, or Cynthia's grandmother in Gen 4. While it's a concept that's appeared in previous games, it's not often been explored in the games that do this. The closest that comes to mind besides Legends CA is Sword and Shield, with Hop being Leon's little brother. But even then, Hop was already prepared to be a trainer just as the game starts, because Leon's champion status encourages Hop to be a trainer. Meanwhile, Diantha's status makes Ansha unsure of what kind of path she wants to walk when she's older, or at the very least, isn't sure if she should walk the path of a Pokemon trainer at all. This difference is emphasized in the Pokemon Diantha and Ansha are usually shown with, respectively. Gardevoir, which is a Psychic and Fairy type, and Hoopa, a Psychic and Ghost type. Their dual typings represent how Ansha and Diantha are similar in certain areas, but different in others. Both share the Psychic type, but Fairy and Ghost represent two different fictional concepts, one being fairies and magic, the other spirits and phantoms. Ansha's Diantha's daughter and has a kind of polite personality much like her, but being the daughter of a famous, powerful trainer, Ansha doubts she will be able to match Diantha's power or fame. Though despite that, you do get some scenes that show deep down Ansha wants to be like Diantha. At Cafe Soleil, Ansha gives black coffee a try, because that's the kind Diantha likes to drink. But she gets disgusted by the taste and decides to wait till she's older to try again. Small moments like this show Ansha does have an interest in being like Diantha, even if she doubts she could be entirely like Diantha. Compared to other champions, Diantha was lacking in any sort of relationship to make her more memorable or even tell us more about her character. Ansha not only fixes that problem, but also lets us learn more about Diantha without undercutting Ansha's own development. Through Ansha, we get to learn a bit more about Diantha herself beyond just being an actress and a mother. Every boss fight with a rogue Mega is followed by Team MZ chatting with each other during dinner. For their talk after saving Mega Meowstic, Ansha drops a new fact about Diantha. She's the one who taught Ansha how to make donuts in the first place. Even if it's indirect, Diantha contributes to Ansha's story role thanks to learning from Diantha. Even just the fact that Ansha learned it from her mother is why making donuts has such a personal value to her, because anytime she's baking, she feels like Diantha's still by her side. It makes Ansha an improvement in the other areas where Diantha failed in X and Y, while also giving Diantha influence as the reason why Ansha's an improvement. As I said before, one of the problems with Diantha is even though she's the champion you fight in X and Y, she's completely absent from the conflict with Team Flare. But here, Diantha serves a relevant purpose, albeit indirectly, because Diantha's the reason Ansha has her baking skills. Not only can Team MZ explore hyperspace Lumiose, Ansha's donuts and Hoopa's power are also the reason why your Pokemon can become strong enough in their levels to stand up against the Pokemon in hyperspace. Without those two elements, we'd be getting smacked around by groups of level 180 Pokemon. But there's also how Diantha influences Ansha's desire to find Rayquaza. At the top of Hotel Z, Ansha talks about a story Diantha used to tell Ansha. It's about how Groudon and Kyogre constantly fought each other in battle until Rayquaza Mega evolved, saving the Dragonite people from harm. Ansha sees Rayquaza as a powerful and noble Pokemon, hence why Ansha sees Rayquaza as a fitting gift for Diantha, someone who she views as dear and mighty. though it's only after successfully catching Rayquaza that Ansha decides what she wants her path in life to be. You see that Ansha tends to focus on what she's doing for others, which is very compassionate, but sometimes she doesn't take into account what she personally wants to do. Fighting Rayquaza is why Ansha chose to meet with Team MZ, so she thinks that when she gives Rayquaza to Diantha, that's the end of her role of making donuts for them, and that thought saddens her. But given all the time Ansha spent with Team MZ, she's practically an honorary member and friend of the team to everyone, and as long as Hyperspace Lumiose exists, her role as donut chef is far from over. Not accounting for personal wants also apply to her dream of giving Rayquaza to Diantha. Karina asks Ansha what she considers doing after giving Diantha the legendary Sky Dragon. Ansha's honest answer is she doesn't think she could top a Pokemon as a gift like Rayquaza and doesn't feel the same level of thrill to seek them out like with Rayquaza. All this makes Ansha understand that she doesn't need to rush to make her dream come true, and that doesn't have to be where her story ends. According to Karina, Diantha already knows Ansha sneaks out of the hotel she's staying at to spend time with Team MZ, and they're the ones who encourage Ansha to share stories of everything she's experienced with them as her gift to Diantha, a gift Diantha ends up loving and encourages Ansha to continue seeking. Learning that there's other ways she can make her mother happy, she decides that she'll be a Pokemon trainer someday, one who will catch Rayquaza herself and give it to Diantha, but trusts you to look after Rayquaza until then. After all, she's not got all the time in the world to make her dream a reality. It's moments like this that show how Ansha helps give Diantha the depth she was missing, while giving Ansha a fair share of her own. For a champion in mainline Pokemon's first 3D foray, Diantha provided little to nothing when it came to her relevance. But Ansha provides that relevance Diantha was missing. Diantha's someone whose strength and renown influences Ansha's own character development, doubting if she could live up to her mother's status when she doesn't need to. Because Diantha cares more about what stories Ansha forms through her own experiences. Ansha's decision to become a Pokemon trainer strong enough to catch and present Rayquaza to Diantha is what makes Hyperspace Lumiose a dream world thematically fitting. Whether you achieved your own dreams or striving to achieve them, your own story doesn't end for as long as you live. Diantha's influence on Ansha's development, including Team MZ's influence, helps emphasize that message. Whether they're big or small, you never really stop dreaming, as long as your own story in life continues. But I'd love to know what you all think. What do you think of Diantha as a character? What do you think of Ansha's character development? I'd love to get to know your own thoughts. I have plenty of video essays on Pokemon, including other Nintendo games, and don't plan on stopping to make more anytime soon. So if that's your thing, please do consider subscribing if you'd like to stay up to date on when more videos will come. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please do give a like to help spread it out. But with all that said, thank you so much if you watch all the way to the end, and I hope I'll see you again next time. Take care.